My name's Austin Belzer. Welcome to another interview from Slamdance 2025. Today I have director of photography too, Madeleine Farley from the film Fist Bump. For those uh, who want a quick look at what Fist Bump is, it's a documentary about Marcus Knight, a talented and charismatic biracial young adult with autism and cerebral palsy as he pursues his dream career on Fist Bump will have its North American premiere during Slamdance 2025 on February 22nd at the LA Times Theater. Madeline, I know that was a long intro, but
No,
welcome.
carry on. I'm enjoying it.
Um, but yeah, Madeline, thanks for taking the time. I'm sure it's busy. You know, you've got a premiere on Saturday, as of this recording. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time. First things first, I want to talk about what drew you to Marcus's story.
My producer, Claire Bess, who is, I like to describe her as sort of the world's leading authority on uh, Title IX sex discrimination cases on college. And so she brought the story to me,
Mhm.
and with the view of making a documentary about Title IX. She had quite a few people that she wanted to interview for the documentary. And the first person we interviewed was Marcus Knight. And once we'd met Marcus Knight and his mother, Aurora, it was very difficult to then interview other people because his case was we thought his case was so special, so unique, so authentic, and so pure that we we sort of gave the film to him. It sort of happened organically.
Yeah. So you talked about Title IX just there. I want to talk about that really quick. You talk about it very, extensively in the doc. Can you tell me how you navigated your critique of the Title IX process?
Yeah, because it was a fine line because we didn't want to overwhelm the audience with the complications
Sure.
of Title IX because it's a very complicated and often slightly political. Um, so I was very keen to steer away from it as much as possible, but we couldn't tell the story without it. So it was a fine balance. We didn't want to get into the detail of it too much, but we still had to explain to the audience what it was and how it affected Marcus Knight's.
Yeah, and then I guess going back to Marcus, I'd love to hear from you about how you kind of approached telling his story in an authentic and respectful way. I mentioned earlier he's a young adult with autism and cerebral palsy, so I'd love to hear about the process you took on telling his story.
Yes, that's an interesting question. He has autism and cerebral palsy, and uh, to me, that's I treat him the same as anyone. All human beings are the same.
Yeah.
And so, this is a human story, and a human story is all one story. So I I treat Marcus Knight like I treat anyone. It doesn't make any difference. And yeah, no, that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, thanks. And then kind of bouncing around a bit, while talking about the story, you take a unique approach to the documentary. Include personal footage. You do the usual interview, like uh, face-to-face thing, but also include legal documents and the narrative of the film. So I'd love to hear, as a storyteller, how did you decide on that narrative structure?
I mean, that sort of came about in the cutting room because we didn't really have an outline, a fully formed outline for the story. So we did that in the cutting room. We felt that the legal documents are boring as hell. They really are. They were just there to add texture to the document and also to help highlight the total and utter absurdity of the things that Marcus Knight was being accused of were just ridiculous, and the legal letters that he was being bombarded with were ridiculous and absurd. So that's why I put them in there. No other reason. And I don't think anyone is even going to pay attention to them because it's just insanity.
Um, and on that same note, about storytelling, obviously music is a significant part of the film, as Marcus is uh, his dream is to be on Broadway, right?
Yeah.
So how did you approach integrating music into the documentary as both, a storytelling aspect of, Marcus's life and, just as a doc?
Often that, I mean, that was that was such a treat for me as a documentary filmmaker because I mean, I knew his dreams were to be on Broadway, but I didn't until I got to know him and spend time with him. I didn't realize, what that meant in his everyday life. So it wasn't until I actually spent a lot of time with him that I realized that that is his method of communicating his emotions because he has problems communicating his emotions verbally. So he
Mhm.
communicates through songs. Throughout my time filming him, he was always on his phone. So he's always been doing, as all great self respecting kids are these days. He'd be on his phone and suddenly he would pick a song and just break into song, and it was always something that helped convey his emotion for that moment, and and the lyrics as well are really powerful. So for me, it was a real treat. And in the cutting room, we did help. That helped us form our narrative when we were making the film. And the last film, Build a Wall from Shrek, was a spectacular ending, and it really came together with the Juneteenth festival and him being invited to perform and choosing the song, which really is, I won't give it away, but it's a real gut punch when he sings that song at the end, and how this whole procedure has made him feel. It really is amazing.
Yeah, no spoilers here, but I now want to shift to talking a little bit about the behind the scenes stuff you really don't basically stuff about you. You're both the director, DP, and one of the two producers on the documentary. So what's it like to wear those three hats? I'm assuming you have more, but I'd love to hear about that.
Well, I've done a lot of my own filming in the past, and I, I love working that way. I really do because I don't like the gear and the kit and crew members to get in between me and my subject. I just find they get in
Mhm.
the way. And so I really, really enjoy working. I'm very comfortable working that way. It's how I've often worked in the past. And I really do feel that I can get much closer to my subject when I don't even think that there's no camera there after. I'm just there in their life and the camera happens to be there. And I think that they forget that they're on camera half the time. I mean, aside from the uh, the interviews with the lawyers and things like that, that's separate. But if I really want to get an intimate story, I think that's the best way for me. That's how I like to. So that's DP. Well, I don't like producing. I prefer directing. But yes, it's tricky doing all three. But the
Yeah,
directing and the DP just are one.
I imagine I was talking to somebody yesterday. I think he said director, screenwriter, editor, basically everything. And I asked him about that. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just doing all these things all the time." It was a fun interview. So your film is one of the nearly 50 projects with the Made in LA tag during Slamdance. I'd like to talk a little bit about how Los Angeles influences the film or in any way.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice question. I mean, uh, we were mainly in Orange County, and I had not spent any time in Orange County prior to this. So it's more of an or um, and it's a shame because I wanted to bring a bit more of LA into it, and I did film some scenes of Marcus on Hollywood Boulevard, you know, going to walking down the Hall of Fame and looking at all the stars and things, and going to see Hamilton. and it's really lovely footage, but it didn't make it into the film because it just didn't fit in. It was sort of, there's Orange County and then there's LA and Hollywood.
Yeah.
It really it didn't work. So sadly we had to take it out. So yeah, it's mainly Orange County. You definitely get a flavor of Orange County.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a weird tag, but it's their first year in LA,
Yeah.
and Dance's first year in LA. But maybe for like there can be a Madeline cut or something like that of the movie. But lastly, I want to talk about like the audience. What do you think what do you want audiences to take away from Fist Bump?
I'd like them to come out with more compassion in their heart. That's my main aim. Just a little, if we had a little bit more compassion for our fellow being, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
And also a little bit more common sense, I think. I think common sense is a rare commodity these days. So yeah, common sense and compassion and kindness for one another. And obviously, I would love for Marcus Knight to be accepted and go back to college. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be great. Is he gonna be in Slamdance with you?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. He's
Awesome.
coming. He's coming to the red carpet event. He's coming to the premiere. He's going to see it for the first time. Got his outfit picked out. He's coming in a tuxedo. He's ready. He's ready for his moment. It's going to be great. It
Yeah.
really is. I'm so looking forward to it. And Slamdance is the greatest festival I could think of for it to premiere. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, I want to thank you, Madeline, for taking the time to talk about Fist Bump. I'll have a review out, time to the release on Saturday, um, or to the premiere on Saturday, and more Slam Dance. And in March, I'll have South by Southwest interview. Fist Bump is going to have its North American premiere during Slamdance 2025 on February 22nd at the LA Times Theater. I'll have a link to buy tickets in the description below. But yeah, thank you again, Madeline, for taking
Thank
the
you
time out of your
so much,
day.
Justin. Thank you so much for watching the film and giving us this opportunity.
No problem. You have a great Slam Dance, and just make sure to hydrate and all that stuff. I joke, but it's a real thing. But have a great Slam
Now.
Dance.
Thank you, Austin. Thanks. Lovely to meet you. Bye.
Lovely to meet you too. You can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads under my username, Austin B Media, as well as my Discord and Patreon community chat. Speaking of Patreon, if you'd like early access to this next interview or more exclusive content, head on over to patreon.com/AustinBmedia. For just $3 a month, you get 48-hour early access to my reviews, podcasts, interviews like this one, and articles, plus patron-only channels on my Discord. The $10 a month tier, you'll unlock uncut podcast episodes, exclusive episodes, and more. If you enjoyed this interview, stay tuned for more Slamdance and South by Southwest 2025 interviews. Until next time.